You're live.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the place where real estate investing and beer join forces. This is Hopportunity Investors.
Nice.
Like that fade down there. Legit. This is legit. This is Hopportunity Investors, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We are in March of 2021, believe it or not. This year is moving along fast, and we're just excited to be here and talking real estate, hanging out together, and hope you guys are joining us online. Hopportunity Investors is a real estate investment group. We bring in industry experts, professionals to talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about, real estate investing ideas, financial options, and really just kind of putting in these strategies into our market, but also we're trying to go into other markets as well. One of the big things about our group is networking. So when we can go back to being in person, we're going to definitely do that, because having great people around you, having a great team around you is a huge part to your success in real estate investing. But to get things started, as we always do, let's raise our glasses for a quick toast. May your castle be secure and your cup overflowing. Cheers.
Bing. Cheers, guys.
Guys, I am Alex Winfield. I am a real estate agent in Hampton Roads. And I love working on investments, love working with investors. And myself and Shawn, we started this group, was it 2.5, 3 years ago?
Almost 3.5.
Yeah, Shawn over here on the top screen. Almost 3 years ago, or over 3 years ago. And it's been a lot of fun ever since, just bringing in different people to talk about real estate and sharing some beers together, sharing some ideas, and just seeing where it takes us. And Cam has joined our team here, Mr. Cam Peters. Thank you for joining us, sir. And he is also, he works with Shawn as well, but he also has kind of helped push Hopportunity out to the peninsula, as we like to say, which is Hampton, Newport News, Yorktown, kind of all the way up to Williamsburg. When does that actually stop? Is there a stopping point in the peninsula, or is it just kind of going to North?
I like to say it goes to Williamsburg, but there's a bit of contention on that. But I'll tell you what, I live in Williamsburg, and the James River is this way, and the York River is that way. So I live on a peninsula, so you know what I mean?
Okay. Peninsula?
A peninsula? What's that?
Peninsula.
Oh, peninsula. I thought you said button. I was like, what's a peninsula?
Yeah, I was like, oh,
Sorry,
new
sorry.
word. Write it down.
It's live, no take backs.
Yeah, man. So it's been an interesting start to the year. We have a lot of changes going on in the world around us, in the real estate market world around us. As everybody knows, inventory is low. Prices are shooting up. We've got a hold on evictions, hold on foreclosures. There's a lot of things rotating around us, and it's something for us to be aware of as we meet in these groups to discuss and talk about. So if you guys have any questions about this market and about strategies, anything like that, please hit us up on our Facebook page and ask questions. Let us know what you guys want to talk about. Throw out ideas, and we'll try to respond while we're on here, but also afterwards we can respond if it's something even more detailed or more specific to you. And Cam, do you want to cover anything I missed and maybe introduce our speaker for tonight?
Yeah, sure. I think you covered most of it. I guess we would like to hear from you. We talked about this before the show. Maybe if you're ready to go back in person with some Hopportunity events, like throughout the show, like you think about that, you're ready to go, ready to meet at a brewery maybe next month or whatever we can set up. Maybe a yes, let's go, let's meet in person would be great comment. But without further ado, we're here to talk about wholesaling tonight. So many real estate investment strategies out there that we talk about. And I think is often overlooked or often undersold as, oh, it's just easy. I just maybe go and find a deal and assign it to somebody and make 10 grand. It's wholesale. And I'm here to tell you guys that's a bunch of BS. I'm going to keep it light, right? Because I'm here to tell you that wholesaling is the hardest strategy, the one that takes the most work. And if you can wholesale, if you can negotiate a deal for less than market value and assign to somebody else for less than market value for them to make some money, you, my friend, can be successful. So without further ado, I've known Shawn for a few years now. I think we're going on about 3 years. And Shawn has done many things in real estate investing and brought all those things together, different experiences in new construction and rehabs and owning houses and wrapping loans and lease options and all these things, and brought them together and all that knowledge into wholesaling. And so Shawn brings a lot of things that a lot of other wholesalers don't bring to the game. For instance, things that might be lost in zoning and building restrictions and just the estimating of the repairs and everything that goes into it that a lot of people don't. A lot of people throw this at the wall and just be like, oh yeah, I saw a guy who bought $150,000 around the corner, so I'm going to go ahead and contract up with the seller for $150,000 because they said they want $150,000. You want to fail, guys? That's the way to go. So Shawn will keep it real. Shawn knows the business and knows how to tell you about it. So without further ado, Shawn, if you would, tell us about wholesaling, man.
What up? What's up, guys? My name is Shawn Bowen, owner of Full Circle Investment Group. And man, we got a few different things. WholesalingOutOfTheBox.com, thecoastalcapitalgroup.com. So we've got a few different things for you guys to work with us on, from learning wholesaling to lending, borrowing money from us, and just really talking to the wholesaling side of things. So I'm going to give you the Mother Goose story here for a second and give you a little backstory of it if you don't know. Coming back from about almost 12 years now, started back as a contractor and met a lady at a local RIA group who kind of took me under her wing and said, hey, discount your product, discount your work, and I'll teach you this real estate business. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and got in there, started learning, and then told me there was this thing called wholesaling, and I never heard of it. And in short, basically, she taught me how to go get a property under contract, and then turn around and sell that paper to somebody else for a profit, and keep on moving, do it again. From there, I learned a little bit more about wholesaling in general, but then started learning how to rehab because I already had the contracting background. So I was able to go out and find some people that were willing to put up the money for me and start doing the rehabbing, and then went really gangbuster with it. Went big with the rehabbing, went big with the new construction, and then realized like it's not as fun as everybody thinks it is or as easy. And yeah, got back over to the basics, and that's pretty much where we focus a lot of attention at, is on the wholesaling side for acquisitions. Like Cam said, finding the deal is the hardest part of this business, right? So yeah, that was kind of me in a nutshell. Backtracking just a little bit, I learned from her and then learned underneath of an auctioneer. They taught me all the auction world, so like foreclosures and pre-foreclosures and door knocking and getting into homes and doing all that kind of stuff. So I was his little gopher running around checking homes out for him. And then from there, I helped him build his business by, getting systems and processes in play and becoming very 21st century is where we brought him. So now he came to the game with, a younger guy, and I took his experience on top of what I had, and we made it come together and work really well. And to this day, I can go back to that guy and talk to him all the time and ask him questions. So got to learn from him and then moved on. And then constantly, I'm always learning from somebody new, right? But we as a company are covering from Richmond down to Suffolk or Isle of Wight County as far as our wholesale model. So we do marketing to all of that, and talking to sellers and, dealing with title issues and having fun with getting into homes and not getting into homes and sellers falling off and buyers going crazy and like all that kind of stuff. So in a nutshell, guys, that is wholesaling, but down to its roots is you find a piece of property that's a motivated seller that's not in a retail position to, help them sell their home, knowing that there's no closing cost to them, knowing there's no fix up, no commissions, no realtors involved. We take it from transaction of purchase to sale, right? And we lead that seller down that path and make sure that we do what we say we're going to do and get the deal done. And that's in essence what we do is wholesaling. So we did put together a little slideshow for you guys to kind of go through this. And that way, one, I stay on track. Two, I don't ramble. So I stay on track with you guys.
Nah, you wouldn't ramble, man.
While you guys are doing this, keep in mind, please keep the questions coming. I'll try to not look over there, but I do want to answer them. So ask away, please, anything. There is no question that's dumb. The dumb question is the one not asked. How about that? All right, that's the way to do this is like we are wide open, guys. So please ask anything you want. And I try to keep it to wholesaling tonight if I can. Talk a little bit to our lending program. And, of course, wholesalingoutofthebox.com program where you can come and learn how to do wholesaling from us and do it in a virtual world. Of course, if you're local to Hampton Roads, you're able to join us in meetings there. So, yeah, let's get that thing up and running and we'll get this thing going. So what is wholesaling? Short answer is wholesaling just connecting buyers and sellers to properties that aren't retail ready shape. Okay. I'm going to try not to read this thing verbatim to you guys, but this is keeping me on track so I don't miss things with you guys. Long answer is you're understanding when a seller to sign a purchase and sale agreement, and then you find a buyer to take over that contract, and then you sign an assignment of contract with that buyer at a higher price. You're assigning your rights to the contract, right? I want to be very specific in this, and what this means is that you have equitable interest, right? You are a primary in the contract. You're not a third party, which is why you have to have a license if you're acting as a third party to a transaction, okay? And Alex can back that up for us and understand that if anybody wants to deep dive it later. So let's talk about an example. Let's say you get the home for $100,000 as your sales price with the seller, and then you're going to bring it to a buyer, and you're going to sell it to them for $120,000. Then your profit's $20,000. And guys, that is real. Right? That is a real number. Now, it's not easily done, right? But there is the tactic of negotiation, knowing comps, solving problems, and all that kind of stuff is how you get to that number. Let's go to the next one. So getting started. This is a really big part of this. And guys, if you ever get to know me, deep dive and understand who we are number nerds. And I love it, right? We are all about the numbers. We want to know where we track everything, right? How many calls did we make? How many appointments did we go on? How many offers did we make? How much did we spend to get there? And then where is it we're going because we're measuring?
KPIs, man.
Yeah.
KPIs.
So for y'all hearing that acronym is KPI. It stands for Key Performance Indicator. And guys, any major companies are knowing those numbers, okay? So that's something you want to pay attention to and learn. So start tracking your numbers out of the gate. Have a CRM of some sort, right? Whether that's a Excel sheet that you start with, I don't care. But do not get stuck in the rabbit hole of a book, a notebook, right? Because that doesn't work. We're all in the 21st century, and we have a lot of technology between our phones and our computers that connect to each other. And there's so many apps that allow you guys to do this stuff and not feel like I really say of myself I'm old when I feel like this. But like when I started this 10 years ago, I literally was a notebook having to like do some old school walk uphill to the snow and downhill back, right, in the snow. But guys, don't make it so difficult, but make it to where you're keeping yourself organized, right? So get yourself a CRM, customer relation management site. One we have and recommend is Podio, Podio. Where are you getting your list from and how are you building it? Guys, there's a lot of people online talking about buying the pre-foreclosure list and the absentee owner list. And these lists are easy to buy, but think about the pool that's being fished in. A lot of people are there, right? So the problem with that is that you've got a lot of people you got to get through the noise on versus going to a very targeted list to get a very motivated seller that will be, your chances are a lot better to get them to work with you, okay? How much are you willing to spend on your marketing and what kind of marketing are you going to do? So when we talk about marketing spend, we say like get into this and know like, let's just say you're going to commit $500 for the next 90 days. That's $1,500, okay? So don't look at that as a cost. Look at that as an investment. You're investing into what this is, guys. This is a business. This is not a hobby. If you want this to jump in, hang out for a few months, make a fat check, and think that that's going to happen overnight, don't do this business, right? That is not what this is. You are building a business. You're building a foundation, right? So like anything, you got to make it sturdy at the bottom so it stays in control up top, right? So that CRM, building your correct list and having marketing going out is the bloodline of your business, right? If you don't have marketing going out, I don't care what you're in, you're not getting sales, okay? You're not getting potential for sales. So commit to a budget. If you have a partner, decide on each person's duty and what they're doing and what expectations for each other are. I've had a lot of partners from back in the days, and one of the big things I did not do was decide and set expectations for what each one of us are going to do, right? So I was in control of marketing, or they're in control of acquisitions, or they're in control of dispositions. Like, what is your role and what do you do? Define that when you bring a person in. Everybody's got their unique ability, right? Figure out what that is. If you're a computer person, be the computer person. Be okay with it. You might not be good on the phone talking. Have a salesperson that does that, right? Know your unique ability so that you guys are working together very clearly, okay? If you don't have a partner, what are your expectations for yourself? What do you realize you're good at? What makes you really uncomfortable? One of my big sayings is that get uncomfortable or get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? That's a really big thing. And if you think about that and say it a few times, you really realize like you grow outside of your comfort zone. When you push yourself, man, you make it feel like uneasy. Is your stomach uneasy? Is your head spinning? You're like, man, I don't know. But what it does is it forces you to recognize things that you're not able to do. And you have to bring those as an outsource, right? Like pull somebody in. I'm reading a book I recently read this past year. It's called The Who, Not the How, right? And we're not trying to figure out how to do things, guys. We're hiring those people that are better at it than we are. Okay. And in the beginning of this might just be a virtual assistant that's doing some data mining that you know how to do, but you can teach them how to do it in a video training platform. Okay. This is best use of time, value, money. Let's go to the next one. So this is just a little piece of what we talk about, right? So we had, if you look at this, January of 21 through February, we had 279 leads. We had 4 offers. We had 2 contracts. We had 3 closed for a profit of $52,000. Our total marketing expense was $3,400 and some change. Inbound seller calls was 286. Outbound 7,600. Appointments set was 6, and then completed was 3. And this is just a snap, guys. This thing goes a long way to the right, and it gets really nerdy, right? And I mean, like, really nerdy. We get down to when was the tracking that said when we contacted them to when we closed the deal? How many days was it from when we first talked to when we closed, right? What was the cost to get that contract? What was the closing ratio to it? Like all this kind of stuff down to the very minute. What is the average profit per deal and what did it cost to get there, meaning the cost per lead, right? This is all very deep dive stuff that you want to know. In the beginning, people ask me like, well, Shawn, I don't have a deal. I can't tell you what that number is. False. What that means is that you want to get into this tracking how many calls did it take to get to a seller that said yes. That will be something to start getting you to hey, I've got to get this many calls out bare minimum to recognize I'm going to actually get on the phone with somebody that raises their hand and says, yes, they're willing to sell. Guys, that's a basic start. Do that number and watch how it starts to drive you, right? So one of the things that Cam says while he's talking a lot is he says like, hey, guys, what's the line in the sand? I need to know. I need to reach it. That's all I need to know. What's the line? Give me the number, right? And that's a very easy task to recognize. Hey, guys, you need to have 252 phone calls or you're not going to get a seller on the phone. You're not going to get even close to a seller on the phone that's ready to sell, right? So that's what these numbers are about, guys. Let's go to the next one. Guys, remember, feel free to write comments over there, ask questions, fire away, ready for them if you need them. Acquisitions, what is it? It's a part of a company focusing on getting new properties under contract to purchase, either for us to own, rehab, or turn around and assign to an end buyer, right? In this world, we're just going to stick in wholesaling, so we're looking to acquire it. And then we're going to take all that role and talk about that, right? Let's go through it. Acquisitions means lead mining of some sort. In this case, we talked about driving for dollars, going to courthouse, and purchasing some list depending on what that motivation is in those lists. So driving for dollars, as simple as it sounds, there's probably plenty of YouTube videos out there explaining it. One of the things I want to talk about is that don't just go drive some random neighborhood. Take the time, if you don't have like the prop stream or MLS access, take the time to go on Zillow and use it to reverse engineer where moving markets are. So go look at 6-month sales, go look at 90-day sales, and then go look at 30 to, let's say, 60-day sales. You will see the cluster of bubbles start to just dwindle. And then that will start little clusters of neighborhoods. 2 things will happen there. You will know your ARV based on a single story ranch, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. You'll know what the ARV is. Then you'll do a 2-story, right? You'll know what that ARV is. And then big ticket reverse engineer number, you should have a really good idea of what the offer price should be. So when you're driving that neighborhood and you happen to run across a for sale by owner sign, pick up the phone, call them. Hey, saw your sign, was just interested in buying. Can you tell me what you're asking for it? That's the number right out of the gate. Or you can go through our process and the sales process of how we do it. Hey, just interested to see why you guys are looking at selling. What's happening? What's going on? Get to know the why, right? You have to understand, is there something you're going to help them solve? Because there is no way, if it's a retail deal, that it's anywhere you should be near, right? That should be, hey, I want to pass this off to Alex as a lead. He needs to work on this. He can help him from a retail standpoint, right? That's the better use of this time, is knowing going into this. When you're driving neighborhoods, you know what you're looking for, and you have a really good idea of your numbers. So courthouses, these are the lists that you're pulling off of FOIA requests. When I say that, it's FOIA, I think, Freedom of Information Act. Yeah. That is on every county in a public website. So anywhere, let's say you guys are watching locally, any state that's a public information state, they should have that department available. You're requesting information like, hey, I need tax delinquent. I need all the properties tax delinquent. You're not going to be able to get that list defined. You're going to have to clean it up, right? That's a little bit of work. Then you're going to the code enforcement division, asking the same thing, right? A FOIA request. I need all open and closed violations for all of your single family residences. They might be able to clean that up, but if they can't, so what? You get it and you clean it up yourself. And then, so we got, let's go code, tax, probate. So now you're talking about getting to the courthouse and a probate clerk's office and then figuring out people that have deceased, right? People have passed away. And that's a very unfortunate thing. This is not insensitive, guys. This is still a thing that has to be addressed. There's an asset that has to be taken care of, right? Eventually that has to be sold. So you need to reach out to these people and contact them and see if you can help them. And then purchasing list. This is the one you hear a lot of people talking about. And I want you to recognize, if you purchase these lists, think about the big volume play that you have to do in order to get through the list with everybody else that's doing it. Okay. So small pond, a lot of fish, one bait, right? Versus the opposite. So the idea here is you do not want to be stuck and trying to get through all the noise. You want to try to get to a more targeted list. So when you're purchasing your list, reverse engineer thinking about what you're going after. So pre-foreclosures, what does that mean? Somebody's behind in their mortgage, right? Usually most people want you to save them and help them stay in their home. Can you do that? That's a really hard thing. You can't sell that property to somebody else if they want to stay in the home. Don't try to rent a property back to somebody because they're not even paying the bank. Why do you want to do it to them? Right? I hear a lot of people talking about that. So then talk about absentee owners. Just because the owner doesn't live in the home doesn't mean they don't have it rented out and making a killer return. They could own that free and clear. They could be at halfway through their mortgage and on the other side of it, not paying a lot of interest, paying down the principal, and making a lot of good cash, right? What does that call sound like? Hey, man, everything's for sale. Give me the right price. There's no motivation there, right? Let's go to the next one. What do we got over here? You guys doing hard work, no doubt. Do you differentiate between number of repeated calls to the same person? Cam, I'll let you take that for a hot second because you're working more closely with how we have deciphered that lately.
Yeah, where do I see the question? Oh, right here. Okay. Sorry, man. Sorry. I didn't see it right in front of my face. What's up, Lawrence? Hello, Lawrence. How you doing? Do you differentiate between a number of repeated calls to the same person. So I think you're asking about, do we track every single touch to every single person? And the answer is yes there. So there's a sales statistic out there, and we didn't write this. This is from multiple sales books that says that 80% of your sales come from your fifth touch or more. So what that means is, by the time, if you call somebody once and you call somebody and you repeat through 5 times, or you touch them in any way, so mail, text, phone, however you want to touch them, knocking on the door, however, by the 5th touch, most people have left. So most of the other salespeople have left. So yes, we track that. And yes, I will tell you guys that most of the deals, not all of them, there are those random flukes where, yes, you call somebody the first time you talk, you have a good combo, you go look at the property, everything works out with a little negotiation, right? There's no silver bullet. But the majority of those are kind of a fluke, guys. The majority of those are follow-ups that have happened over multiple months, to include 4 to 6 months to a year to 18 months. Working on one right now that's 18 plus months from the first contact.
Yeah.
Really closing the deal. So yes,
man.
All those phone calls, we have to, and you have to be persistent. Shawn will say consistent or non-existent. I would say you could transpose that to say persistent or non-existent. Either one of those words work, to where, yeah, you have to track all those things. You got to watch those. And I'll tell you what, if you keep following up, your competition will fall off, man. And you're the last guy. Usually I'm the last guy. And they're like, I can't believe that you keep contacting me. Usually they're telling me how persistent. You're so persistent. Like, I can't believe it. And, I always tell them, shout out to my mom. My mom always told me never to give up. One of the best things she ever taught me. So I don't know how to do anything else. And they just laugh at me. But I'll tell you what, guys, it closes deals. So yes, Lawrence, we track all those calls, all those touches. They all matter. The lightweights fall off and the heavyweights stick around and keep contacting people.
So Lawrence, I would also say, do not follow up with that person until they tell you they are not selling. And even then, give it one more time. Right.
Yep.
That's what we call the squeaky wheel, right? Just get oiled. It's cool. Just stay around, right? Something might change. But yes, track that. Okay.
And keep it in your database.
Yes, that's the CRM, guys. That's just keeping notes on all of this, right? Our CRM tells us every single time when somebody calls into us, it tracks it, right? If there's the acquisitions guys are talking to them, they're keeping notes on it. And there's a task that says to follow up with them. That's what this is for. We got another question here. How often do you usually wait to call them again? A week, a month, randomly? So, guys, this is one that it's very specific to the file, right? What is their motivation? What is their reasoning? Hey, I need you to hold tight because I'm actually going to get that tenant out, right? They're willing to move out. They're going good. I'm not going to sell it with somebody in it. We're not going to buy it with somebody in it unless it's performing. Something could change with them, right? So that could be hey, call me back in 2 months, man. I've got some stuff I'm dealing with. Let the seller tell you what they want, right? Let them dictate that and listen to what they're saying. All of that is a motivational talk, telling you exactly when and how to follow up with them. So I can't give you that as a over answer of everything. I just say, listen to the seller and let that dictate when you're actually going to follow up with them. But majority of the time, you should be within 2 weeks to a month. Think about how many that looks like, right? If you've got 30 people you contact in a week, what's that look like in 2 months to a month? You got 30 more people to follow up with. Think about your pipeline, about how you're filling that up. There will be some people to fall off, but majority will be staying. Again, it goes back to what we're talking about. We will go over this for a second and show you, but guys, your competition's gone. They don't want to do half of the work just to get where you're at, much less follow up. That's where the game is. That's the goal, right?
I always do half of the time that they tell me, basically.
Okay.
Call me in a month. All right, I'll call you in 2 weeks because
Yep.
Before you start thinking about it and go to somebody else.
I like it.
I agree. The other thing I would say here is Shawn was very specific about when you contact people, but when you don't contact people, you got to consider your volume of your pipeline, which is something you mentioned as well, right? So can you commit to following, like if you call people and there's no answer and you get through 100 calls and there's strictly no answer on 100 calls, right? Can you commit to calling all those 100 back in 1 week? If you can, then you should call them back in a week, right? But as your volume gets bigger, you know what I mean? You can only call so many people, and then you need to consider obviously calling services and things like that. But I try to stick to, you need to call them as often as you can. Probably not every day, but once a week, if you can call them, once you can't get a hold of them, yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the grease is the keynote here, I think.
Let's talk about some acquisitions marketing. A lot of traditional stuff you guys hear about is the letters, the postcards. This is mailing, right? We put in bandit signs on here. One thing I want you guys to remember this. This is an old technique. It's a real old technique. But in today's world, it works. But I want you to think about what net you're casting with that message, right? We buy houses. Okay. What does that mean, right? Do you buy retail? Do you buy with a tenant in it? Like, I'm a buyer wanting to buy your deals. I call those signs all the time, guys, right? You know how many people actually call me back? Less than, let's say, I'd probably say majority don't call me back, right? And I leave a message. Hey, man, either I do have something to sell or I'm calling about what they have in their inventory to buy. So call those signs. Get that talk. Understand what it sounds like. Tell them who you are. But just remember, that's a broad net, and it does come with problems, right? There's rules that come with these signs. They're not called bandit signs for no reason because they're illegal if you put them in the wrong spot. Public right-of-ways, you are going to get chased by the city, right? These people want to fine you for it. So learn the law, learn the rule, play by the rules. If it's a public right-of-way, then it's a public right-of-way. You're going to be fined. But if it's on private property, that means that person has to come to you directly. So I want you to think about what that means, guys. If we go out and we're driving for dollars and you take your sign out of your car and you put it right inside the yard, what is that? That's private property, right? Who do you think is going to call you? Either the neighbor or the owner, right? Or somebody else driving by and saw it and maybe they have a problem. They're like, I'll take a swing at this and see what happens. Just learn the rules there, guys, because that's a very wide net that you're casting on bandit signs. So online, Facebook, Instagram, Google. We'll talk about Google first because we did the Facebook and Instagram. We weren't successful with it. We had leads come in, but they were retail. They did not fit our pipeline. So if you're a realtor or if you're a person trying to work with a realtor, hand it off to them and then get paid for a finder's fee of some sort, right? Play whatever rules you got to play by. Alex will let you know the rules, right? But like Google, guys, we spend this is another Google's good, but you really got to understand that algorithm changes almost daily, if not weekly. So you got to know how to play inside of that noise, right? Track it. Like we are in for, I think, overall time we've spent $16,000, of which I think we made back like 10. So we're still 6 in the hole as far as I'm concerned. But if you have somebody that's good at that, make sure you hire that person, the who to do the how. Don't try to figure that out if you don't know it. That's not the highest use of your time, I promise you. How do I know? I tried. We hired somebody that we thought they knew what they were doing. It didn't work out well. So that's one of those things I want you to pay attention to. We recommend it, but it's based on the person that's doing it. So we tried it. We got a deal closed, but I think there's a lot more out there nowadays that Facebook can do that if you hire the right person, you can do. But so you guys know our sources. We are cold calling, texting, and mail, right? And we're like a 3.5% response rate in our mail. Guys, it's a letter. It looks handwritten. It has a post-it. It's a real stamp on it. It's got a regular envelope-sized letter inside of it and an envelope on the outside of it. It's weird, right? Like I can give you a postcard and you'll throw that shit in the trash. But I'll get you to have a letter and this is psychological, right? You got to take the time to open it, pull it out, unfold it, and now it's all this commitment to this piece of paper. And then you read it, and it's got a message in it that actually appeals to the seller, right? And it talks to if they have a problem. And it weeds out the other stuff. Like if you're not retail, we're probably not going to be a good fit, right? So you want to talk about the message, and you want to talk about what you're doing there, but that's a really good response rate. Mail is not dead, not even close, right? All right, personal, door knocking, cold calling, and driving for dollars. We talked about the driving for dollars, and the cold calling is just literally smile and dial. Get on the phone, crank them out, right? That is the name of that game. If you do not feel comfortable being on the phone with somebody to tell you you're crazy about your number, you're not talking to the right people, right? Be okay with that, and be okay with understanding talking to that person about why it doesn't work. Right? That's a very, very specific skill. Door knocking is the best thing you could ever do. You want to know how thick skin you got? Go door knock. You want to know if you can handle objections? Go door knock. You want to know how it feels to be real uncomfortable? Go door knock. Right? Guys, this is the stuff where if you want to do this business, this is one of those that will make you either understand you're meant for this business or you're not. And it's okay. You might have a better unique ability that you can bring somebody to work with you. But I promise you, door knocking alone will make you understand what it feels like, because if you can't take it to the face, and you can't take it on the ear and the phone, right? You can't get to all that. So that's one of those ways to start learning to talk to people and get over objections. And how do you not get the door slammed in your face? Don't go up to a door like one of our guys did and be like, hey, I'm looking to speak with your wife. Like, bad approach. One of our guys did that. And it was like, dude, that's not how you approach somebody. For your wife. We got questions over here real quick, and then we'll go to the next slide. What do you heavyweights target for profit? In other words, what's the industry standard? I can't see who's saying that, but there is no industry standard, right? It's what you negotiate. There is no such thing as an industry standard at all. This is not commission based. This is not percentage based. This is what you negotiate. What I tell people when they ask this question, what do you think you're worth? Right? What do you feel as though you're worth? And if you give yourself $1 per hour value, then you're welcome to the game. You're just like we all came from, blue collar learning, right? I was told go out 10, 15, 20, $100 an hour is how you get paid, right? If you can negotiate a contract that has a $10,000 fee in it and you do it in 30 minutes, what are you worth in an hour? That's 20 grand. Most people would be like, that's absurd to say, but it's true. You're worth what you negotiate, right? So don't give yourself a ceiling. Don't give yourself a floor, for that matter, that you stuck to. There is no standard, an industry standard. And here's the other thing. When you guys are dealing with buyers and they say, I can't pay you that because it's too high of a fee, later, you're not my buyer. My numbers don't matter as long as your numbers work. Don't look at my pocket. What about your pocket? Did you spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to get this to the table and flop in your lap perfectly? I didn't think so. So pay the fee or don't play the game with us. It's okay though. Learn to be okay with that, guys. Okay. That last one I see over here is Seth says, what kind of software do you use for sending out letters? Are they very personal or general to maximize volume? So we have an online service. If you go to wholesalingoutofthebox.com, you can get on that service. I think we charge $40 a month, and it gets you down to $1.25 a unit, which I know we've beat the industry with. You cannot do that in anywhere else. Saving your time, your money, licking stamps, buying envelopes, doing all that stuff. Cam will tell you he tried before he came and worked with us, and we've all done it, guys. It sucks. So we have an online service that does it. We've been working for a long time, which gets us now to our unit cost to 66 cents a unit, right? So it's pretty good. Hopefully that helps answer that. And the answer to the very personal and general to maximize volume, I could rip out the letter and read it for you, but I would say it's a little more broad, but it speaks to that person saying that what we're looking to do, how we're looking to buy, and we're not a retail buyer, right? So we get that out of the way. So that eliminates the people that are like, oh, this guy trying to buy my house? Is he trying to list it? What's he trying to do? Right? So hopefully that answers that. All right, let's go to the next one. Good questions, guys. Keep them coming. Digging it. All right, so this is an updated chart showing our calls. Oh, wow. God damn, I forget sometimes about calls. So this is from January of 2021 to March 9th of 2021.
Damn.
20,000 calls, guys. If that doesn't
step up my prospecting, jeez.
If that doesn't give you guys an idea of the volume that we're playing with, that is a reality check right there for sure. So just a big overall number. Again, guys, KPIs, tracking your numbers, key performance indicators. How do we know that? Because we track it. That tool you're actually looking at is called CallRail. That's where we track all of our numbers. And I currently think we have 54 phone numbers that we track. So those are different campaigns. Those are acquisitions, disposition lines. There's all kinds of things that we track in there, guy. But everything has its own number so that we can do that. Right? Again, guys, nerdy with the numbers, digging it. Let me know when you want to talk them.
And just to clarify, what he's saying is if he sends out a flyer or a postcard, it's got a particular number on it.
Yes.
When they call in with that number, now he can track that marketing.
Correct. If we send a mailer to a list that is for code enforcement, we know where that call came from. We don't need to ask the seller. Even to the point where it comes in to the acquisitions line, it'll ring and it'll say where it's coming from. The number saved in the phone. And guys, this is not to their personal line. This is forwarded to their lines from this call service, right? So it says, hey, there's a call coming from code enforcement. Cool. Boom. Got it. I'm ready to go, right? I know what's going on. Have like a heads up. Could be a call from probate. Got a probate call coming, right? Well, gotta be careful. Don't know what's going on here. Tax delinquent. Like, you see where, guys, I'm going? This is making sure you're tracking all of this, okay? That's how we do that. All right, sales statistic. This is actually the thing Cam was talking about. We'll go through this because this is really important. It's crazy to read this. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect.
Done. They're gone.
That's
Come on now.
crazy, right? 48%. Let's just keep it simple. 50% of your competition is not even following up after the first call. That's ridiculous. Why are you even spending money to market if you're not going to follow up with them? 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. Come on, seriously? Guys, this is literally like taking $1.25 every time a call comes in and just throw it in a fire pit. I mean, I think we're at $23 a lead currently. Actually, I think that dropped. I think it's $13 a lead. But like every time that phone rings, it costs $13, right? So like, wow. If you think about what you're looking at per lead to come in, think about that as you just don't call them back. You're like, I don't want $2 today. Rack that up over 20 people over 6 months. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money. You guys got to look at this, man. These are serious numbers. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second. 5% of sales are made on the third. 10 are on the fourth. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact.
Dang, son.
So 80% of sales are made by the 5th to 12th, call 10th touch. 80%? Isn't that crazy? Guys, screen cap that. Look at that. Keep that up and keep watching that. Like, pay attention to it. This is a crazy number, guys. It's one of those things that opens up your eyes and be like, 50% of your competition is not even willing to do a basic piece of the most important part of the business. Just follow up. But what makes you do that? What makes you go to follow up with that person? What reminds you to do it? And if you're going to say you're going to do it, just commit right now and give up, because you're not. You're going to talk to 20 people and forget what happened after the 10th phone call. That's just how it is. You talk to so many people. But if you have a CRM, you put your notes in, it gives a task, it goes into your calendar, and then it says, hey, you got a call to follow up on today at 9:30. That's what that system does for you, right? Acquisitions, talking to sellers. Answer incomer calls. Follow up. Most important part. Most important part. Lawrence asks, does wholesaling out of the box have a purchase agreement template we can use? We do not currently. We're working on that. I know there's a lot of people out there selling stuff. And from a legal standpoint, I want to be very careful with that. So we're working on getting that done for you guys. But currently, we will recommend you to an attorney to purchase it from them. Guys, here's another thing. Those contracts online, they're legit. You can use them. But do you understand them? Right? Do you understand what you're putting in the contract? Do you understand when that seller asks you a question about it, do you know how to explain it? So be careful with that. There's videos out there talking about it, but this is training like anything else. Do you know how to fill that contract out, and do you know how it protects you? Because you can go get them free all day, but if you don't know how to use them, what's it worth to you? Right?
Yeah, and I've noticed people, they've signed contracts. They don't realize that it's like a legit business contract.
Oh, totally.
This can be taken to the court of law.
Totally.
And
Guys,
will be.
You will end up in court. Do this business long enough. It's not a matter if you get sued. It's when you get sued. Right? That's just part of this game, guys. Right? If you can't know that's going to happen, don't jump in because it's going to happen. Right? All right. Acquisitions, appointments, property walkthroughs, inspections, and rehabs. If you scroll in there, you'd kind of see a little bit. I don't know, you can't zoom it. But basically what you guys are looking at is our inspection platform. So when these guys do this as a virtual walkthrough, they're able to do this inspection over the phone. This is just a piece of acquisitions. Do not go to a property that you haven't done like a basic virtual walkthrough on. And just ask some basic questions, right? If you guys are interested in that, we offer that at wholesalingoutofthebox.com. It's an event that we do online, and I think it's like $47 for a ticket. You can join us in person or you can join us online. But we take 2 hours. We walk through and we teach you how to estimate. Don't waste your time trying to get into contractors, guys. These are simple numbers, okay? The property walkthrough and inspection rehab sheet is exactly what this is. So this is internal for our system. That is part of the CRM setup that we have, right? So if you don't want to invent this thing, guys, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have it. We can set it up for you. Again, another piece you can buy from us that will help set up, and it'll work for you, okay? Let's go to the next one. This one's really important. How are you making an offer to a seller, right? So this is one thing that I hear a lot lately in the guru world talking about, like, that Mayo formula is bullshit, doesn't work. Okay, let's talk about why it does work. So the loan to value is an LTV. And at the number 70%, that leaves 30% for all of the stuff that needed for closing costs, holding costs, profit, taxes, blah, 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 to how you make a profit, right? On top of that, from a lender standpoint, most lenders aren't going to fund any deals from a private money to a hard money. They're not going to go over 75% loan to value. And what that means is that they're not going to give you what the property's worth when it's all fixed up. That's over leveraged. The reason this 70% rule was ever invented and talked about was because it was based off of buyers going to these wholesalers and telling them, hey, man, I can't buy it for more than this. So this is how we do this formula because it works, right? Don't get me wrong, guys. There's some people out there that are buying at 83, 85% loan to value. But the pool of those guys is like this versus the 70 to 65 to 75% loan guys are like this. That's the number that matters, right? You want a bigger pool of buyers that are legit and real and actually know their numbers. That's why the 70% rule came about. For the quick math here, $200,000, which is what it's going to be worth, ARV, after repair value, right? Times 70%. You're going to take that number, you're going to minus off your rehab amount. That's the walkthrough number that you did to come up with quick numbers, right? Big ticket numbers, roof, windows, siding, kitchens, bath, flooring, HVAC, electrical. I'm at 40 grand, right? After I add those numbers up, all day. After that, I still need to take off what I want to make on this deal before I can make my offer to the seller, right? That is what this offer is as Mayo, max allowable offer. So this turns out in this equation to $85,000. Now, of course, playing your negotiation game, you're going to start lower, work your way up, right? Or maybe you take your $15,000 fee off and you reduce it down because it's made you too far apart from what the seller wants versus what you can offer, right? There's that little window in between. So this is a very important equation, guys, and this is at your discretion. We recently noticed last year that we were going to push this to 75% loan to value because two things happened. We were going to notice that we had more people that were actually pushing the market, right? They were squeezing their profit margin, raising their LTV, right? So where they were making 25 grand, now they're making 10 because they can't find any deals. But they're trying to keep money coming in. They're trying to keep their crews busy. That's what this is, right? So you're going to have to recognize that in your own market and understand it. This rule does not go across everything. It's very close, But in certain markets, you might be able to squeeze up a little bit more closer to the 75, right? And the idea of finding at 65 is really hard. Very hard, right? It just means that the lender might be doing that, but the borrower is willing to bring a little bit more money to the table. We can talk about that from a lending standpoint in a minute. So this is a very important equation, guys. This is something we also build inside of the CRM, is that we made this when you get the CRM set up from us, we made this formula for you. So you don't have to longhand this every time. You enter these numbers in the first piece, and it kicks you out your numbers below. So if you enter in ARV is $139,000 and you're using 70% loan to value and your rehab is 40 grand, it says you can offer 52 to make 5, right? Or you can offer 47 to make 10, and then so on and so on and so on, right? We did this because acquisitions didn't have to take the time to like calculate it out every single time. Boom, 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 right? That amount of time is the time you're not listening to the seller talk or listen to them, right? Versus you have a number in front of you. Again, saving time, running systems and processes. This is what this business is about, okay? Over here we got another question that says, what time of the day works best when contacting sellers? Love that question because you know we measure it. So we figured out Tuesday and Thursday from 4:15 to 6:30 is the average highest response time. So that's most of the time our guys are calling because that's where they get the highest response rate. So for us, that's what ours is. You'll have to learn that algorithm. Well, I don't say algorithm, but you'll have to learn that for yourself and what works best for you. Because guys, we don't know what your times are, right? You could be at a 9-to-5 job and you can't do that, right? You could be like, hey, I've got only my lunch break that I have time to do this. And that's when you got to make your calls. So something like this is you have to work out, right? Give you our answer for us. But one thing you'll never hear from me tell you guys is that there is no magic pill. There is no silver bullet. This is all building it out. For anybody that ever tells you to go spend $5,000 and you're going to do a deal in 30 days, I'd be very leery of that because there's so many factors that work into that I can't answer, much less what crystal ball do you have? That's what I would ask, right? Keep coming, guys. Dig in the questions. Let's go to the next slide. This one's a little harder to read. Cam, I don't know if you can zoom that in on where you're at on your side of the screen, but we built this sheet, guys, to basically tell you what property requirements we wanted when people brought us deals. So this was something that you would want to have to know that you either do or don't have a deal. Guys, if you write us and hit us up on wholesalingoutofthebox.com, we'll get you this. It's just a PDF, and we'll share it with you. But motivation is a huge piece of this, right? Asking somebody what they owe is a pretty blunt question, but it depends on your situation. Like you can't offer the amount that you cash offer because they owe too much. Now you're getting into creative financing, subject to owner finance, that kind of stuff. Running comps, knowing what things are selling for around the property, right? What are things selling for in its area that aren't crossed over major street, major roadways, so that you understand what a apple to apple is, right? Is it a 2-story to a 2-story? Is it within the same year? Or are you looking at a 1900 home and comparing it to a 2005 build? Not the same thing, right? Knowing your repair cost. A big part of that we talked about, right? That's our property walkthrough where you get a ticket and we teach you guys how to do that. An inspection report. This is you physically going to the property and understanding what is going on with it, right? Taking the time to get a lot of pictures of the property, have them in a Google Drive, have that link shared inside of a place that you can always grab it, because you're going to need that again when it's time. Let's say you get it under contract, you're going to need it to build a flyer. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But that's a very important piece of that inspection report, right? And me as the buyer, I want to know what's going on with it. I want you to be able to tell me all that. ARV, after repair value. So this is with the comps you've come up with. You've come up with an idea of what the property should sell for when it's all fixed up in its HGTV ready mode, right? I say that HGTV comment because most people recognize it. I hate that show, but it's like Chris and Stacy have their stimulus check this week, and they're going to go out and have $1 million budget. You're like, dude, this is not real. So keep in mind when you say HGTV ready, that's a recognized thing, right? Most people know it's like, oh man, this thing's gonna look really good. So you want to make sure that you know what that's going to be worth. Your MAO is your max allowable offer. Knowing that ahead of time is very important in order to make your offer to the seller and know why. And the final one we talked about was the pictures. Guys, I cannot tell you how many times we've asked people that have brought us deals, can you send me pictures? And I get this like text for text, email for email, like one picture. Again, we live in the 21st century, guys. Let's get it to the simple of Dropbox, Google Drive, whatever is out there that holds this in one spot for you, where you can take that link and make it shareable, right? If you want a real buyer to be able to make a decision before they go out and do something, have as much information available for them ahead of time, right? Pictures are a big part of that, right? Comps are a huge part of that. Let's go to the next one. Any more questions, guys? Keep them coming. All right. Dispositions. What is this part? This is part of the company that focuses on selling deals to buyers once you have something on the contract or once you finish a rehab. That is what dispositions is. It is getting rid of the deal. Next slide. All right, so what's the responsibility there? Dispositions is building a buyer's list and going through that vetting process of what it's like to deal with a person that says, hey, man, I'm a cash buyer. All right, let's talk about that, right? So researching to see who's buying in your area, meaning like you've done the research to go to there's sales on. Those are the ones that you drove because you did the research to know that that was a moving market. So you decided to drive for dollars. As you're doing that, guys, recognize the people that are homes. Stop car, get out, go to the permit on the window and take a picture of it. That's the owner. Walk through the home. You never know if he's on site, she's on site, whoever's there. What if you talk to the person doing the contracting work? Hey, man, I'm interested in buying some more homes. Looks like this person maybe bought this one that's keeping you busy. You know, I can get a hold of them. Maybe they can give you some more work. I'd like to sell them another house. Who's not going to want to give you their information? They want more business, right? So don't beat yourself up trying to like look up LLCs and then skip search them and figure out like most of the information is right there on the permit. Not there, you look it up a tax record. And then vetting buyers for looking for a proof of funds is the most important part here, guys. This is one I take really seriously lately because we are seeing a lot of bullshit. When I say that, I mean the people going out to these online .com companies that are giving what's called transactional funding letters. And what that letter says is that, yeah, we will fund this transaction after we underwrite it, make a deal, make sure the numbers work, and then actually provide funds to close on it, right? The difference in transactional funding is actually for a double close. That means that they have to have the buyer lined up or else they're not funding it, right? When you're asking somebody for a proof of funds, this is something where I've seen a lot of people be like, and here's what happens. You get the pushback like this. I don't know you. I'm not giving you a screen capture of my bank account. Well, show and I'll see the funds. Why would I want to show you anything if I don't know you can buy it, right? So this is real stuff, right? Like, to get through the problem of knowing the person's real ahead of time versus let me go spend all this time, spend this money, get a property under contract, and then blast it out to a list that I have no clue that they can buy. That's a waste of time versus going through the process ahead of time and weeding out the bullshit. Hey, man, you don't want to send me proof of funds? Great. Let's jump on a call and talk about what you've done in the past 6 months. Maybe you can show me some rehabs you've done. I can look those up. I can see what they are. There's two other things I'm going to learn by doing that. One, most people want to brag about what they're doing. Most real buyers love to talk about the business they're doing. They love their rehabs. They love owning properties. They want to show you that they can, right? The guys that are wholesalers that are acting like they're the end buyer, that they're just going to contract up with you and try to go wholesale to somebody else that they didn't vet, are the ones that are going to give you a bunch of pushback, right? Guys, I promise you, we do it day in and day out. We have a website, and we tell them to go in there and ask them to fill out 2 forms. You know what happens majority of the time when people sign up? They don't even get to the second form. And that's where the real information is. That's like the basic information. Where do you want to buy? What do you want to buy? What's your loan to value? What's your rehab level you're okay with? And oh, by the way, I do need a proof of funds before I even begin to talk to you. Right? They don't even get to that point, guys. Don't waste your time. Well, you're going to go through the same spiel all the time, right? Take the time to vet these people. Understand it's okay to ask for this. This is real, right? We have one of our broker friends that have a deal that we're working on. He sent us a proof of funds letter, and I was like, it's bogus. Our acquisitions guy went and looked it up, and he was like, Shawn, I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy here. I was like, why? He said, because I looked up the company. It said transactional funding. I was like, oh, all right, well, let's call the agent and figure out what's up. So we called the guy, and he was straight shooter with us, right? He's like, yeah, we have to do that because we have to lock up the property. Ding, ding, ding. You got to what? You got to lock up my property to give me some BS letter. That's not the way to do this, guys, right? Take the time to really understand what you're looking for and be okay. If they give you pushback, don't waste the time. If you have a real talk with a real buyer, you should be able to look up their LLC and first of all, see that it's active. Look that up in the SEC. Let's start there. Then let's go and make sure the properties you've owned, right? Let's talk about what you've done in the past 6 months. That should be real, right? If you're doing deals, let's just go look them up. Let's talk about them. That's a good start, right? And again, a proof of funds should be the second part of it. Don't send me a bank account, or you can screen cap it, cross out your account number, cross out your routing number, and show me that that's you. Now let's talk, right? You're getting through this, guys. It works this way, okay? Let's go to the next one. Any more questions? Somebody laughs that we talked about this. I love it. Guys, if you talk to me about buyers, you know I'm spot, man, because my God, I hate it. It's such a time suck sometimes. All right. So here's a property flyer that we built, and kind of an example for you guys. For me as a buyer, as wholesaling properties, we built this based on what we, right? I was tired of asking over and over, and I wanted to make sure that I was supplying something that at least I would want. So I wanted to know the property address. So if you go through this flyer, click on that link, hyperlinks you in Google, and it takes you to Google Maps, right? Go on their phone. All this is on mobile. They can do it from their where it's at. Oh yeah, I know that area. Cool. Another piece we have on here is click here for more pictures. That's the Google Drive link from when we did the inspection. Saved all the pictures in this drive, and then just attached it to our flyer. You don't have to worry about the buyer being like, hey, man, where's the pics? Everything right in the flyer. Right? The other piece of this talks a little bit about the property. It says it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's 2,100 square feet. It's built in 1994. It's on a lot that's 9,000 square feet. If that person might be interested in tearing something down and building new construction. We do a little bit more detail. It says what the zoning is right underneath of it, if it's going to fit that criteria or fit that type of buyer, right? Information on it says property is overall in good shape. The kitchen need update. The windows are good. The roof may also need to be replaced. Just giving them as much information as possible, right? And on our new flyer, it's not showing here, but that says here for a showing, which we can then, and also we can make an offer. The buyer can click on a link and then submit their information directly to our link. And then that drops into our CRM system and then kicks out an email to disposition and says, hey, man, you got an offer here. Take a look at it. Right? Again, organization, guys, from a fundamental foundation that you're building it up so it all works together. Dispositions is gathering all the information important in one place. And then it says, old property update and a marketing checklist. So if you click on those, I think that's where Ashley had those that hyperlink. I might actually hyperlink you to something. Old property update and marketing checklist. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where it shows you an old property. This might be, it's evergreen. Nice. Click for more info, a little bit more. Click for more pics. Oh, this was an update from one of our old email folders. We had a few that we sold. So this is what it looks like. This is where we directly build this flyer. It's a plug play. You can replace things in and out of it. And that's a virtual assistant position, guys. Our guys don't more. Virtual assistant is responsible for building that flyer. It over to us, and then disposition gets it out gets it out to our buyers. Any questions on that, guys? That hopefully I'm not talking too fast for you guys. Where are we at on time? 9 o'clock. I need to shut up. Okay. All right. Disposition.
9/11.
Huh?
9/11.
Have to get through this. Disposition is really quick. Title search, clear the title of just more tax and utilities. Close and track your numbers. All that nerdy number stuff I was talking about, how long it takes to close, our average profit, our average cost to lead, all that is because we track. Put your money back into your marketing, pay your taxes on it, increase your volume, right? That is probably the most important part of this, is to make sure that you're not taking all of this out of your business, right? Leave them in. If you don't, you will do what I did. And I made 5, spent it all, and then I had to start from scratch again. That's very important here, very important. All right, next one. And that gets us to this, wholesaling.com. We set this up. Recently, we changed it. We were a paid program, come in. It's probably like $4,000 to work with us. Now we've got that set up to where it's $100 a month, $200, and then they all got, which we'll show you. Basically, you've got 10 online in-person events per month. You got property walkthroughs, or you can do them in person. We have plenty of ability in our private Facebook group, as well as you have a specific person on the team to have weekly accountability meetings. Joint venture deals, to where if you work with us at a certain level, you'll make more on the deal than we will, because you're part of that monthly fee. Pricing discounts. If you're at our highest program, I think we got you at 7 cents. If you're at our lowest program, I think you're still at 12. I think the industry standard right now is like 15. Direct mail discounts, we talked about that. We can get you down to probably like 66 cents a unit. Bare minimum will be 25 if you don't have the volume yet. Personal mentoring, where you'll have somebody specifically to work with every single week that will have an account, right? What's the next one? This is, if you go to box.com in the join tab, this is everything laid out for you, what it comes with, right? You got the novice, the hustler, and the closer level. I'm creating those. That was pretty fun. So take a look at those, and if that's something we can help you with, please join us. We look forward to working with you guys. Doesn't matter where you are. This stuff works. Doesn't matter what market you're in. It'll just rinse and repeat. Pick it up and put it in every market, or a lot of different markets, and it works. So what's the next one? I think it was one last slide, wasn't it? I think this is just all of us as a contact. So if you screen cap this, everybody at our company. Unfortunately, we didn't have Ashley on. He is a huge piece of our company, keeping it organized and building things out for us, and she's a huge help. Cameron, you guys got to he helped acquisitions and dispositions. Kaylee is signed on with a realtor, so she's come in and she wanted to learn wholesale, but she's going to help us church side. Again, we talked about Ashley. Jacob is another acquisition manager, and then there's our information line. So screen cap that. Reach out to us anytime. Guys, thank you so much for allowing us to come in here and chit-chat with you. And hopefully this is something we can work with you guys on. And hopefully this was helpful. If you guys could write us some comments over there and let us know. What? Was this helpful? Was it worth it? We got a few different places. We got some podcasts going. So Wholesaling Out of the Box podcast. We got a email. I think we have an Instagram page.
We have an Instagram page, yes.
Yeah, Cam is the Instagram. I'm not. I feel like the old guy for sure sometimes with that one.
I'm an influencer.
Influencer. Nice. So, yeah, thanks so much, guys, for allowing us to chit-chat with you and talk, and hopefully this is helpful. And I know I can talk a lot, but what I do is try to help you guys.
No, it's a lot of information. You covered a lot in a little bit of time.
A lot of information.
No, I mean, I think with wholesaling, people got to realize everybody needs a property. Everybody wants to flip and make that HGTV house. But the reality is you got to find it at a good enough deal to where you can put in the rehab and sell it for profit. And so it all starts with finding places, and that's, usually a real estate agent or a wholesaler. Somebody's got to get you the property. So if you're trying to get in the game, it's a great place to start. You can always, if you can wholesale, you can always survive in this business. I think that's the case. What do you think, guys?
I agree. Guys, if you can learn how to wholesale, I feel like it's the hardest part of this business. Like Cam said in the beginning, find a property, get it under contract, and for the value that you can sell it to somebody else and make a fee. That huge statement just itself, right? And then you need to learn how to go. Now you've learned how to find your own properties, source them, and sell them. What's the next piece? You want to learn how to flip them. You got to find the money. You got to find the contractors. You got to learn how to rehab it, do all that kind of stuff.
And I think the other thing that you always talk about that a lot of guys get sidetracked on, and this is just from an outside perspective because I don't wholesale, is to not be afraid to work with other people. I've worked with guys that found deals and they just didn't know what to do with it, and I was able to come in and help them. I've had deals where I called Shawn up. Shawn, I'm sure, had deals where he called other people up. There's just, you can't know everything, and when you're new in the game, give up a little bit to bring somebody on who knows a little bit. And I'm always trying to redirect people to actually Shawn, the company, wholesaling out of the box, because it is a tough business to get into. So if you're trying to do wholesaling, you can skip a lot of heartache and lost money and lost time to just see what works. It's still hard work. It still costs money, but let's get rid of some of the just wasting time on stuff that you don't understand and partner up with somebody who does. So yeah, man, I think it's great what you guys do, and I highly recommend it. And that's not a sales pitch. I don't get paid anything for that. But I mean, it's, people talk about doing it all the time and then they come back and say, it didn't work, and a lot of times it's simply, one, you didn't put in the effort, and two, maybe you should have spent a little bit more money and made a little bit better connections with people who knew what they were doing. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Guys, thanks for sharing. Shawn and Cam too, your input's awesome as well. So much appreciation. So before we leave, we want to talk about what everybody's drinking. Shawn?
I got this Dirt Bag IPA. I literally had no idea what this was until I just read it. I was like, Dirt Bag IPA.
Is it good?
It's a little lighter IPA. I like a little hoppier Hopportunity. Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good. Cam?
Looking Glass, Star Hill. I don't I like everything that they make, so it's just a given. But I hadn't actually picked this one up. It says it's seasonal. I don't know. I didn't see it before today, but I was like, yeah, I'll go with that. Nice.
It looks seasonal. Is that pretty good?
Yeah, I like it. I do.
I'm drinking water tonight. little Easter preparation. Next week I'll be back on.
Yep.
But hopefully next month, guys, I would love to go live. I mean, in person. I know we all want to. So please, if you're watching, please respond to the Facebook page. Give us some motivation to know that it's not going to be the Alex, Shawn, and Cam show if we go in person, and you guys will join us. Even if it is, we don't really care. But I think
that's how it started.
Yeah, man. Honestly, some of the smallest ones have been some of the funnest events, and if you're trying to network, a small event is pretty great. You get to talk to somebody for a long time, and there's only 5 people there.
Yeah.
So, but guys, thank you all for joining us. Always a pleasure. Shawn, Cam, thanks for the info. Everybody on the team, Ashley and Vanessa, thank you guys for all you do. We will see you guys in April. Talk to you soon.
Later.
Ciao.